Hello everyone, this is Mamun once again coming back with Arduino I2C Communication System. So in the previous video I gave an introduction of I2C Communication System. Today I am going to show you how to use I2C Communication System to send data or to communicate with other devices. So before using I2C Communication System, we have to know some functions that is very useful to communicate with other devices using I2C Communication System. So first of all, whenever you want to use I2C Communication System, you have to use two lines. That is, first line is this line, include void.s, and second line is void.begin. This line is through this line we called I2C Communication System, I mean TWI Communication System library. And this line, second line, void.begin, through this line we initialize the I2C Communication System. So void.begin, whenever you write void.begin and use nothing in this bracket, that means this is for master. This indicate that this device, the code which contains this line, that means this code, when you upload any device, that device will be master. And whenever you use this line void.begin and in the bracket you use some sort of number from 0 to 127, that means this number indicate, or this number define that slave number. So these are used for I2C Communication System. So let's go into the next slide. Hope you will clear after some slide you will be more clear about this concept, or that begin without any number, or that begin with any numbers. So let's go to the next slide. We will show you in this slide. Actually, in this video we are going to talk about how master can send data to the slave. The master send data to the slave. This is called master write or slave read. This process called. So we use for this example we use a simple circuit diagram. We use two Arduino. So here is our master and here is our slave. And maybe you have a question why this is master and this is slave. Actually, we just assume that this is a master and this is slave. Actually, this define after uploading the code. If you upload a code which is for master, then this is in this Arduino, then this will be master. Or if you upload the master code to this Arduino, then this will be master. And same thing, if you upload the slave code to this Arduino, then this will be slave. So we just assume that this is master device and this is slave device. You can use as this is slave and this is master. So first all you have to do is to connect this simple circuit, that is 5 and with A5. This is a SCL line which is meant a clock line, and A4 with A4, this is data line, and you have to connect ground with ground. You have to make it common ground. So if you have any question why we make this common ground, then you can comment below. Or if you are confused why we are making this common ground, then you can comment below. If I get enough response, then I will create another video on why we need to use common ground in a circuit. So this is our circuit diagram, and let's go to the next slide. So for master we need to use these functions, that is void.begin transmission address. So using this void.begin transmission function, we just start a transmission. That means from master we through this function we call, or we tell that we want to connect with this slave device, and the number of the slave device is defined here. That means which slave we want to connect with, we will define that number here. So since this is here we use slave address, so the number will be from 0 to 127. And second is this function void.write. Through this function we will write the data to the slave. That means we send the data to the slave. and void dot in transmission. Through this function we will end the transmission or we will stop the transmission which is going on from master to slave. So these are the function which is used for master to send data from master to slave, these three function. And let's go to the next slide. So here is the code which we will upload in the master device. So first, as I said, we use first void.h library include, then in the setup we just write this function. We do not use a loop since we want to send the data once to the slave. So we use all the code in the setup function. First we write void.begin to initialize the I2C communication system, then use a simple delay, and then void.begin transmission 8. So 8 is the number of the slave. Through this function we say that we want to connect or we want to start communication with number 8 slave, and then we use some delay, and after that we use void.write this function, and in this function we send a string x is, and in the second function void.write we write 20. That means we are sending data that is x is 20 to the slave, and by void.in transmission using this function we stop the I2C communication system or communication system with the slave. And let's go to the next slide. So this is the one function which will be used for slave to receive that data or to read the data which is coming from the master. So this function is called void.onReceive function, and in the function there will be a parameter which will be a function. The function will this function will define this function, and through this function a single integer parameter will be passed to that function, and through this integer parameter the slave will receive the data and or read the data which is coming from the slave, which is coming from the master. Sorry. So this is our code. So as I said, we always have to use include.h or library, and in the setup we use void.begin date. I said before that whenever we use void.begin for master, we do not use anything in this or between these brackets. Since this code is for the slave, so we use this 8 number, or you can define any number from 0 to 127. We write just 8. So since we write something between these brackets, so this code is for slave. So if I go back to the previous slide, here you can see this is the code for master. So you can see there is nothing between this bracket. So we define this code for number 8 slave, and after that void.onReceive, and in that function we define another function. We build this function in our code. You can define any name if you want. We define this name receive event, and then shell.begin 9600. In the loop we write nothing, just give a delay on 100, and the function which is built here void receive event, and in that function we also define a parameter, integer parameter, and through this parameter the data will be passed and we will read using this function, and we define this name how many. You can define any name if you want. So in the function void receive event, while we write while less than void.available bracket. This line means if there is any data, then the data will be must be greater than 1. So whenever this condition satisfied, that means whenever the data is in the line, then we declare a character type variable C, and then we write the data using read function. Read is used for read the data, and then we will print it on the serial monitor using serial.print C. And we also declare integer type variable called x, and we also declare read function. Using this function we read the integer data which is coming from the master and also print that in the serial monitor. Maybe you have a question that why you use two function or two variable to read this data, because as you can see we have two types of data. One is string type data and another is integer type data. So we use one character and another is integer type. So that's all for today. And actually these are the way you can communicate, you can use to communicate with master to slave. So hope you understand how to communicate with master to slave using I2C communication system. If you have any question, then comment below. And I also try to give this code in my GitHub account, so you can collect this code from my GitHub account. I will give that link in the section below. Thank you everyone.